Well, I had to go and go to my settings for my for Google Hangouts to make sure that it had the correct microphone. I chose default microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the speakers were the speakers that the same ones that I use when I have my headphones in. So all the only thing that was the default microphone.
Yeah, it's annoying when it doesn't work. I mean, it's like, why doesn't it? I had to do this weird thing when I first started doing this podcast, where I would call myself on another computer and record the audio on that computer while being hooked up to the internet. That was the most crazy hookup.
Oh
Turned out to be
God.
all these ad blockers and whatnot that I have on my.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's the deal. So thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. I think
absolutely.
you are friends with oh man, is it Nico?
Nico
Nico.
J. Jeans.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a great conversation. How did you get to know her? Did you visit her in what is it on the Adriatic Sea?
Well, actually, it was in a couple of the groups
On what, Facebook?
on Facebook. Yeah, and then she told me about her books, and then I wanted to interview her, and then I read her books, and I really liked them.
Oh, you do an interview series as well for your blog. You have two blogs actually.
Yeah, well, they're basically the same one, but I interview authors, I review books. I'm looking to have authors guest on it,
Okay.
and I also have some stuff about me. I've done some stuff about my book and a couple other things like that.
You have the one novel right now called oh man, what's your novel called? The Awakening Fire. What is it called?
Awakened by Fate.
Awakened by Fate. Okay. And that's your only piece of fiction at this point in time?
Yes.
What's it about?
Okay, it is about a woman who is pretty much superficial. She's living her life according to her own rules, and she's kind of for exterior. And then she encounters an event that totally changes her life and makes her rethink what's important in her life. And she has no choice but to go along with this. So it leads you through a lot of different things, one of which is a spiritual awakening, and a couple other,
Spiritual.
yes, and a couple other things are mentioned in the book that I'm just going to leave for you to read.
Hmm. I appreciate that. People don't like spoilers, I've heard.
No
Yeah.
spoilers. And if you read from my reviews, there's no spoilers in there. I don't believe in doing that because I don't want to ruin the experience for the reader.
Let's crack open the spiritual nut. Is that a religious thing or is that more of a universality truth thing?
I believe that everything comes from within, all knowledge, healing, wisdom. It's when we go inside ourselves that we're able to dig the answers out.
So this is what your character is undergoing in the fiction that you wrote. Is this
Yes.
kind of self-examining truth?
Yes.
That's awesome. And what kind of made you want to write that type of fiction?
Well, I've been on a spiritual journey for many, many years. I mean, I went to Arizona many years ago to just for that. And
Yeah.
I got to meet people from different walks of life. I got
Is
to
that where
work
you
in
live in Arizona?
actually I'm from Michigan, but I moved to Arizona because I wanted to experience something different there.
Yo,
And
Arizona is different than Michigan. My God, it's totally crazy place.
a lot differently. But
Where in Arizona are you?
Phoenix.
Oh, Phoenix. Okay. Wow.
Hmm.
Phoenix is tough.
It's hot.
It's
It's
hot,
hot.
man. I don't know if I
Hmm.
could do it.
Yeah, it's really hot.
So you went to the desert from the frozen tundra of Michigan,
Yes.
and you knew that you're going down there on a spiritual quest, or was this kind of like, might as well check out the cacti and whatnot?
A little bit of both. I wanted to change in my life. I wanted to go there to seek new opportunities and see what it had available for me.
Yeah. And you had John McCain.
Yeah.
And that was satisfying. He's an interesting character, huh?
Hmm.
You guys, I mean, you had what was it? Gabrielle Gifford, right? Was a very liberal type senator person coming from your guys' state, but she got replaced by a very conservative person, didn't she?
That I'm not sure because I lived in Arizona for 4 years and then I moved out here to California.
Oh, you're in California?
Yes,
What part of California?
Southern,
Where is that?
Los Angeles.
Oh, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I've heard there's nothing wrong with Los Angeles. It's an adequate place to be from.
It is. I love it here.
I've been through there a few times. It's incredibly interesting. I'd love to live there. My wife has fantasies of living there and whatnot. I don't know how anybody can afford to live there though. California has basically outpriced humans. Only computers can live in California now, it seems.
Yeah.
So why California? Obviously the weather, or were you driven? Are you driven there by some other kind of search?
I was driven here for many different reasons. I mean, I love the weather, first of all. It's basically warm all year round.
Earthquakes and wildfires.
Well, I haven't experienced any of those, but yes, they are here. I love the beach, and we don't live too far from the beach. We just be able to get into the Jeep and drive an hour. We're there.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then there's the mountains too. You know, we could go an
Yeah,
hour another way and hit the mountains. It's
that's what people say, right? I mean, Los Angeles, you have everything you could possibly want. You could be
everything.
surfing 1 hour and then skiing the next.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But you are obviously you were searching going out to California. You're searching going on out to Arizona. Your characters are searching too.
Mhm.
I mean, at the end of the day, is this an inner peace that these characters are looking for? I mean, what exactly are they searching for? What kind of what thing on the inside are they trying to reach for?
Their inner truth.
And the inner truth is hard to come by, or is it a constant fluctuating lie that people tell themselves?
No, it's different for everybody. You know, only you know yourself. So you know your inner truth. Nobody can find it for you and nobody can tell you what it is. And sometimes you have to go through different paths to get where you need to be.
It's interesting though, isn't it? Because I mean, even your truth could be a lie. I mean, I tell myself lies all the time, like it's okay to eat a dozen donuts or whatnot, you know? I, it's okay just one time, and it turns out to be once a week.
Right.
Yeah, you know? Um, I don't know. What is inner truth? I mean, what is the thing that you're trying to protect yourself from that you lie to yourself about?
Well,
And
it's
why
all
is it
about.
important to root that out? I mean, your happiness, right?
Mhm. Well,
Yeah.
it's all about being connected to whatever you call creator, God, universe. And that's about what it's all about, and seeking your inner peace, feeling bliss, and all the other things that go along with that.
That's tough stuff though, right? I mean,
It
there's
took a while
so
to get to this point. That, yes, I mean, like I said, I've been studying for many years, and when I first learned about this, I was like, what?
well, your profile on Facebook says you're a student of the from the School of Hard Knocks,
Yeah.
which I totally get that. I mean, that's definitely going to put you in a position
Yeah.
where you're going to want to learn the right way to do things
Yeah.
fast, because if not, you're
Mhm.
going to be, dragging on the ground.
Right.
I mean, what does it mean they come from the School of Hard Knocks? What does it
Well,
mean searching for your inner truth coming from a place like that? I mean, where are you coming from in terms of self-education? Are you a reader
yes.
beforehand?
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. I've
What were you
read
reading
many
growing
books.
up?
Growing up, I read a lot of fiction books.
Yep.
My favorite author being Mary Higgins Clark. I found that she was an inspiration for me and one of the early inspirers to convince me to start writing.
Oh yeah. When was the first time you wrote a story? I mean, like, were you always writing as a kid?
Well, I had to write quite a few papers in college, and I did write a lot of essays. I had a published editorial while I was in college, but it really wasn't until about 10 years ago is when I started getting serious about it and I put my first manuscript together.
So you didn't go to college to write then?
No, I went for
No.
business administration, but I still had to write for that. You know, I
Oh yeah. You have to be able to communicate for all jobs nowadays, right?
absolutely,
Did you
absolutely.
ever take any workshops, like creative writing workshops or classes on whatever the hell, what do they call it, themes and literature and things like that?
I had a couple classes in college that touched on that. I had
Oh yeah.
a special class that really helped me learn how to organize what I'm writing. And then I had another class.
Did you use that class to write your novel?
Yeah, I use bits and pieces of it because you just can't write a novel. You have to have an outline.
Oh, you do the outline thing.
Oh yes, do an
Okay.
outline and then you fill in because it keeps it together.
Oh man, I'm total pantser. I don't outline at all.
Oh
anything I
yes,
write.
outlines are very important.
So you're like A to Z, and then you fill in the blanks. You
Yep.
don't deviate at all.
No, I do deviate when I go back and I edit, but I write the outline first so that I have the bones, and then it's just.
Orson Scott Card writes like that. Well, he just has like a basic idea of what he's going to be writing, then he'll fill in all the blanks as he goes along.
Yeah.
It's a great way to write. I mean, it sounds like a great way. I mean, what do they call that? The snowflake method, right?
Yeah. It works for me.
You came back into writing 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So that was from college, and I assume you probably went to college normal, 18, 22 years old. And then what between that time and 10 years ago were you doing creatively to express yourself?
Well, I actually started off on the technical path first. I got a degree in business administration, and for many years, I worked jobs in offices doing just that.
Yeah.
But I had this creative gene inside of me, and my dad was an engineer, and he would always show me blueprints of cars. And so that kind of planted the seed when I was young about going into drafting. So I studied drafting, and I just got put into doing architectural design, and I did that for a long time.
That's stressful, I'd imagine. I mean, you can't really improvise when it comes to architecture, can you?
You got to have everything precise and exact. You can't deviate.
Fits the way that you write, though, isn't it?
Yes.
It kind of, you put an outline out, you do a building from the basement up. I mean, you're doing this basically in the same way, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does Mary Higgins Clark write that like that? Do you know if she does an outline method, or is she a pantser? Do you know anything about the style of writing she does?
That I'm not sure, but it's a good thing.
Right?
I would like to find out more about that because that would be helpful if she did use an outline.
Well, I mean, for her, right? I mean, but as far as you being able to read her stuff, she's your favorite. So, I mean, it'd just be interesting if she would be like one of those hardcore, I know what all the parts of the story are, and you're the same way. And obviously, that's why you like her. Maybe there's a symbolism, a word that's not coming to my brain. Usually on Friday is about this time I want to go to bed.
Where are you at, by the way?
I'm in New York.
Oh, okay. So it's later now.
Yeah, it's like what, 9 o'clock almost 8:30.
Yeah, getting close to that. Yeah.
It's not too bad though. It's summertime here. It was 100 degrees today. Humid, disgusting.
Oh wow. Yeah.
What was it like in Los Angeles?
Perfect.
Oh, that's horrible. Why do you say that?
It was perfect.
You're supposed to say it was really smoggy and the crime was horrible and there were fires all around.
Not where I am at.
Eating at the buildings, threatening lives, sharks jumping out of the waters.
Oh man.
That Sharknado comes from someplace, right? We had 3 of them. You were supposed to say that. No, it's crazy. So I mean, you were telling me a little bit about how your life journey was. I don't know. What did you tell me? That, I mean, you started writing for a reason. What was the reason?
Well, I've always had this creative gene inside of me, but what really got me to really seriously do it, just sit down and start my manuscript, was one night I watched a documentary on the 20th century writer Willa Cather, and I don't know that person. She was from the 20th century, and she wrote romance novels and she wrote for magazines, but it was her. It was something about her that just said, you know what, go for it. If she can do it, so can I. And then I thought, well, if Mary Higgins Clark can do it, so can I.
So what did they do that you're doing?
Put the pen to the paper and write out an outline and start.
Well, that's the easy part, isn't it? That's the part that everybody wants to do. They look forward to it. But I
It's
mean,
the
what about,
editing.
how about the successful part? How did they become successful? Did you look into the steps and procedures that it took for their careers to take off?
Well, it took time. It took time. I know that for Mary Higgins Clark, it took a little bit of time for her. I don't know much about her first book, but I know after that her book started to really sell, and now she's the queen of suspense.
Oh, is she?
Yes,
I know her. I've not. I don't think I've ever really finished a book by her.
they're all mystery suspense novels. Yep.
And what is your novel's not that though?
No,
A mystery suspense.
no, it has paranormal in it.
Oh, does it?
Mm-hmm.
So it's more what is the paranormal, like ghosts and
No,
whatnot?
no, no.
It's
You
kind
have
of
to
I'm
read.
trying to
You have
think
to
of
read the book to find out what the paranormal is.
Mary Higgins Clark. 1927. My goodness, she's 90 years old. Is she still writing?
Yes.
90 years old and she's still writing. That's crazy.
I just saw an interview on her recently, and yes, she is still writing.
1975 is when she started, so a year before I was born.
Wow.
42-year career.
Yep. Yep.
She's 90 years old, so she started writing what, in her 40s?
Yep.
That's when she was like either writing or when she became successful. So what? Yeah, what a great example of somebody who started a little bit later and kind of stuck her nose to the grindstone. I mean, I've done a little bit of an exploration on some of these authors, and it doesn't start with their first best book. You know what I mean? The one that
No.
you became aware of. It usually there's an arduous climb where their slush
Mm-hmm.
pile is gigantic. I mean, it's just really fascinating that she would be one of your favorite authors when you're not even aiming for that type of fiction. What about your next novel? Or will you be doing a mystery suspense situation then?
Well, I have a couple that I'm working on right now, and I haven't
Cool.
picked which one I'm going to publish yet. But one of
And
them is a fad.
you're 100% indie, right?
Pardon?
You're 100% indie.
No, I have a publisher. Yeah, it's
Who is your publisher?
Triplicity Publishing.
Okay. What kind of books do they specialize in?
Mostly LGBT,
Okay.
a lot of lesbic.
Like, does that work out to be like romance type stuff
Lesbian
or
fiction.
kind of political
No,
type stuff?
it's romance.
It's
Mostly
just
romance.
romance.
Yeah, mostly romance.
I mean, it's got a huge community, right? People
Oh
love
yeah,
that type of fiction who love that type of fiction. Why not? I mean, if you're
exactly.
going to be into romance and you want to date the same sex, you're going to want to read that type of stuff. That's
Absolutely,
totally
and
cool.
it's becoming a very big genre. More people are becoming aware of it.
Well, I mean, is it becoming mainstream, right? Do you want it to become mainstream? Do you want it to cross the threshold where I read the story because it's by a good author who writes a great story and not just about two ladies falling in love or whatnot, right?
Exactly. I want a good story
I
for
want a good
mine.
story too.
Yes.
I've had friends in the homosexual community, and it doesn't matter where they were in the community or not. But I picked up a book that normally I wouldn't have, and I really enjoyed like a fantasy thriller vampire story with two gay guys in it.
Ooh,
Like,
nice.
I mean, you said there are supernatural elements in your stories as well,
Yes.
and you're writing for the community. I mean, that's where do you go for interaction?
Like
Bookstores or just online?
mostly online. I there's not very many bookstores to go to anymore. That's the
No,
only
it's not.
thing.
They're all
Yeah.
closed, huh?
They're all closed. There is one bookstore in Oakland, and the name escapes me, but I'm on their mailing list, and they're an LGBT bookstore.
And you're on their mailing list,
Yes.
but you've never gone up there for a signing or whatever?
No, no.
No. I mean, is there not a big physical community for you to interact with?
Well, I am going to a convention next week in Las
Oh, cool.
Vegas, and it's called the Golden Crown Literary Society,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
it's lesbic literature.
Hmm.
And here I'm going to be able to meet all these authors that I've met on Facebook and Twitter. A lot of them are going to be there, and I'll be able to meet them face to face, see their books, talk with them.
And this is happening next week?
Next weekend.
And
Yes,
you've never been to something like this before?
never.
Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah, I'm very
Uh,
excited to go.
how many people usually show up to those type of things? Is it huge or?
Yeah, pretty big, pretty
Oh,
big.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
Uh-huh.
I just went to BookCon in New York City maybe a month ago, and I was really kind of disappointed at how empty it was.
Oh,
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, I think you're onto something in terms of what a community can offer an author. I mean, if you're writing stories specifically for a group of people who enjoy your type of literature, you're probably going to have a great time, right? I mean,
right.
especially if you enjoy that stuff as well. Do you enjoy the, I mean, what'd you call it? Leslit?
Lesfic.
Lesfic.
Yes, yes. I love Lesfic, and I also love my own work. I love writing. It's part of me. It flows through me.
Oh, it flows through you?
Yeah. My readers know that originally I am from Michigan. And like I said earlier, I moved out to Arizona for a spiritual awakening. But I had kind of this was a challenge, and I came out of it. I was brought up in a very strict household, and I was expected to be I was like a round peg being put into a square hole. And over the years,
Was it
I
like religiously strict?
it was like they wanted the best for me, but they were just like too, you know, just didn't give me any room to breathe. That was, but I broke out of it. After many years of self-seeking and doing all these wonderful things, I've come to the conclusion that I am who I am. I love what I do. Writing is in my blood, in my genes, everything, and that's what I'm going to do.
When you were growing up, were you told that writing was not the option that you were supposed to pursue?
No, no, but they wanted me to go after something like engineering or business, something that'd be really stable that I could make a living off of. Not that I'm not living,
Well, I mean, you ended up going for one of those type of degrees with business administration. Do you regret that?
No,
No.
uh-uh. Because I'm running my own business now. So I'm using what I learned in business school here.
Can you give me some examples?
Yeah, well, when you have your own business, you're in charge of everything. You're not only the company president, but you're also the administrative assistant, the marketing executive, and you have to put all these things together to make the company work as a small business like myself. So I'm the one who reaches out to people. I'm the one who is in charge of the book blog and distributing it. And it's up to me to do a lot of my own promotions and to reach out to people who are able to help me out.
You were talking about other authors and writers, reaching out to them
Yes, I reach
on
out to them,
your blog.
for promoting for myself. And like I said, I have a blog where I promote other authors as well.
I mean, what's the main lesson from your journey that you would want to pass on to young ladies or girls or people, human beings that are going through the same kind of thinking? Maybe there's something more out there for me. Maybe I'm not reaching deep enough. What would you tell them?
I tell people to follow their heart. We all know what we want deep inside. It's up to us to go inside and discover it. And for me, it was writing. And what I did is I just started doing it, and the rest all came together after that. I would say follow your dream no matter what, no matter what anybody tells you, because there's a reason why you're being attracted to
I definitely agree. You should follow your dreams to some degree, right? I
that.
mean, put yourself out there in a very weird spot and get yourself back to normal. I mean, what is normal exactly?
Yeah, really.
Yeah, right? What is the definition of normal? Especially nowadays, man, everybody has to cobble some kind of existence together. There's
Exactly.
no retirement at the end of the day, is there normally now?
No.
I mean, so that's awesome. So you're on a journey to help
Mhm.
yourself become enlightened. Where
Yeah,
else are you going
and
to end up? I mean, you're not at the end, are you?
no, no,
No. What's the next step for you? You've obviously, you are writing, you are publishing, right? You're sending your
Mhm.
words out there. I mean, what's next on your journey?
I'm going to make up my mind about my next manuscript and start getting it ready for publishing.
Okay.
That's another book, and we're not going to be able to see that for a couple more months.
Hmm. In terms of actual writing, or which one you're actually going to publish?
The one I'm actually going to publish, because
Gotcha.
yeah,
Will it also have supernatural elements to it?
oh yes.
I mean, let's open up the door to supernatural. I mean, this is obviously dealing with your spiritual nature, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, dealing with the idea of a god, right? Which obviously I enjoy the concept of a god coming from, speculative fiction, fantasy writing, or whatnot. Can you tell me about God in your fiction?
Well, I call God creator, and what I have my characters do is they find the God within.
What's the God within?
It's whatever you want it to be.
What
That's
do
the
you want it to
beauty of
be?
it. I want my God to be love. I want it to be light. I want it to be all everything, all inclusive. Anything you can think of, everything good comes out of the universe.
Yeah, and bad things come out of the universe too, right?
Yeah, they can too.
They
Yes, they
kind of,
can.
you need the bad stuff to make the good stuff seem good sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, if we didn't have Trump as a president, we wouldn't realize how good Obama. That's not true. We knew Obama was good when he was in office, didn't we?
Yeah.
There was no doubts. Unfortunately, I mean, let's talk about that. Sending good out, right? But you are
Mhm.
living in a situation that's not good. What do you do?
I believe I'm in charge of my own destiny. And things only affect me if I allow them to. I mean, the whole world, as we know, there's a lot of activity going on out there, but it doesn't have to affect me personally and make me down and depressed and all that other stuff. No, I have to do what I need to do to be the person that I want to be, despite all that, and to go out there and be a service wherever I can, where it's, being, with the number one thing, being as nice as I can to people,
Yeah.
showing them that I care. I see somebody that's trouble with the door, I go and I open it for them. I let people in front of me when I'm driving. Little things like that start, and then bigger things come on after that.
Well, I mean, what has been the biggest thing that you've overcome in your life to the point where you've been, you know, this enlightened?
I'd have to say right now are the good times. I'm living the life that I want to live. I've got a book out, I've got the blog, I've got lots of other things that are really good in my life. I have good people in my life. I have a really good relationship with my mom, and that to me is very important.
Mhm.
And it's just that, I'm focusing on the good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no bad.
Well, there's, like you said, there's always, bad that comes out of the universe. You just can't just, focus on it and obsess about it.
Yeah.
It's there. It's there. We know it's there. We don't need to reinforce it.
I mean, your characters are dealing with that type of struggle as well, though, aren't they?
Yes,
Trying not to let the bad define them,
exactly.
overcoming it.
Yes.
It sounds arduous. I mean, it sounds really difficult to say, okay, the bad has happened, but we're not going to let it affect our future. We're just going to concentrate on good happening.
Good happening. Yes. But not to forget that, you're not to just ignore that it's not there, but it's there. But we're just not obsessing over it.
Yeah. I
And
mean, at the end of the novels that exist in this universe that you're writing in, is it just to be happy in that relationship that they're forming, or is there something more occurring?
I want them to be happy in relationships, but I want them to be happy with themselves and have a spiritual connection to whatever they choose.
To whatever they choose.
Yes,
What
so
does that mean?
whether it be God, creator, universe, have that special connection and just be happy with themselves.
That special connection, that's interesting, right? I
Hmm.
mean, Do they have to work at that, or do they come into it knowing that they're striving for it?
It can be either way. It's different for everybody. Some people it comes really easy. Some people they have to, go through some things before they finally get there. Everybody's unique.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously you've gone through it and
Yes.
you received a reward for your efforts. I mean, what do you think your biggest reward was?
Well, I keep saying I'm living my life's purpose right now, and I'm loving
That's the
life.
reward that you got for going
Yep,
through the horribleness of the bad times
absolutely.
is
And
the dream life right now.
yeah, like I said,
You get to live your dream. You get to write, right? You get to live in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is a cool town to live in, especially
it
being right
is.
next to the beach.
It is.
I mean,
It
what a
is so.
paradise, right?
Yep. Yep.
What beach is it?
It's let's see, what we go to is called Point Doom. That's up near north of Malibu. But
Malibu. Oh,
there's
wow.
also
Okay.
there's Santa Monica Beach, there's Venice Beach, and then of course there's the beach communities in the South Bay like Hermosa Beach and Manhattan Beach.
Wow. The only one I'm aware of is Venice. I've been there like 3 or 4 times.
Venice Beach, yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's the one beach I would want to live. And obviously, it's the one beach I definitely can never afford to be anywhere near. I get
Mhm.
dirty looks just by being in the area.
Oh,
So that's what your reward is, the good times to come. That's why you worked your butt off to be where you are right now. I think that's good. I like that. I mean, is that what you told yourself
well, that
going
and
into it?
being of service too. I'm
And to
putting
bring the
the.
service, that's interesting too, that service word.
I mean,
Who do
my
you,
books are out there for people
yeah.
to read, and like I said, when I'm out and about, I do things to help other people, even the littlest things, because they make a difference, a big difference.
What has somebody done to help you that you're paying
Everything,
back?
everything. I mean,
Everything.
I've had people do the same to me, open the door for me, let me in line in front of them. I mean, they've brought me up when I felt down, you know, little things like that. But I have to say the biggest thing was that my folks were there for me throughout my life, throughout me
Yeah.
going through my ups and downs, and they never gave up on me.
You said
So,
your folks?
I'm very grateful for that. My mother in particular has been there for me ever since.
They were good
And
influences on you.
in my adult life, yes.
Well, how about other people?
Pardon?
How about other people? Who else has been a good influence on you?
My wife, my wife's family, my my extended family, and trusted friends.
Yeah, and it sounds like a nice little group of people too. I mean, do you have everybody reading your books? Are they clamoring to get the next edition, or how are they about your writing? Are they very involved or standoffish?
I've had some reviews. A couple people really raved about it, and a couple of them are, you know, in the middle of the road. But I'd have to say, because it's so new and it's so different, people are just looking at it and they're getting familiar with it. I think as time goes on, that more they see, my book cover out there, and they see me more out there, that they're gonna want to come by and give it a check out.
I agree with you. I
Yeah.
mean, the more you interact with the
Mhm.
community in general, the more likely it is that they'll say, "Eh, what not? I'll drop a 99 cents on her book.
Yeah.
That's fine." Um, I mean, what's the next step though, right? I mean, all the writers that I talk to, unless they've already kind of popped big, are searching for that next level of success. What's that for you?
I'm just letting it go along right now. Right now, I'm doing what I need to do to keep the ball rolling and to keep growing, letting myself be led towards growth. Just
Yeah, yeah.
letting things come to me. Because like I said, people are coming to me now and giving me opportunities that I never had before.
Pixar has that kind of same attitude. I know it's kind of lame to mention Pixar, but they kind of just throw things at the wall and just see what sticks and constantly develop them and work on them and edit them, and what was isn't what will be, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Constantly working on the project as opposed to saying, okay, this is done, I'm done with it. I
Right.
mean, you yourself online and in your writing career are in development every single day,
Absolutely.
and giving it a shot every single day is very important. and noticing what other people do. I think that's what's most interesting about you, is that you have communities of people that you're kind of floating around within,
Yeah.
seeing what things are kind of working and
Right.
what's not.
Right.
What are some of the things that you've noticed people doing that aren't working?
Let's see. I noticed that some people are not active on social media, and I seen a couple of books come out and just kind of go away. But I think that people just don't keep a presence out there, and they don't interact with their readers. That's what I've seen the most, is that you have to interact with your audience to keep them.
Well, I mean, if you don't have an audience, right? I mean, how do you get the audience first off? That's why I think a lot of people get discouraged, because they put a book out. First off, what you write a book in a vacuum, and then you realize other people have done the same thing, right? It's kind of a shock once you've actually said the end and start publishing that thing. It's like, oh man, I'm not alone in this.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people get discouraged about that. I mean, they go through this birthing process of they feel special. I'm very, very special. I wrote a book, but nobody cares. You know what I mean? Because there's millions of other books out there. How do you stand out? How do you get your head above the crowd? How do you make
Mm-hmm.
people think that you're the one that's going to entertain them for a couple days to a week?
Right. Yeah, you need to be genuine and
Yeah.
be yourself.
Yeah, I
You
think so too.
don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to write like someone else wants you to write. Go within yourself and put the words on the paper that suit you.
Totally. I mean,
Okay?
you're a cool person who grew up in Michigan.
Yep.
Man, where did you grow up at in Michigan? Because that place can be harsh.
I grew up in Detroit.
Oh, okay. That's the harshest of the harsh, isn't it?
I went to school in Detroit too. I went to a very good school. That's where I got my degree. And one of the biggest benefits about living in Michigan are the rock concerts.
Oh, yeah.
I saw so many good concerts at these really cool venues when I lived there. I mean, it was fun.
That's interesting. I've actually heard that Detroit is a great place to go if you're an artist now.
It is.
The rent is so ridiculously cheap.
It's so cheap. Yep.
I just don't know if I can handle the winters, honestly.
They are cold. They are cold. But like I said, yeah, and another thing that I like about Michigan too is if you ever get to go there in October, I mean the changing of the trees are just beautiful. That's
And we have
another
that
thing.
here too. Honestly, it's one of my favorite times of the year. Is that in the
Yeah.
spring when the cherry blossoms come back?
Oh yes. Oh,
Yeah,
those are
it's
beautiful.
just
Those are
mind
beautiful.
blowing. I grew up in Florida.
Really?
Yeah, I spent my childhood, well, from 9 to 18 in Florida, and I joined the army. But tropical boy, I mean, all I saw was palm trees. I saw no changes of the seasons, and maybe it got cold for a couple days in February, and cold was like 60 degrees.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm up here in New York, and we have seasons. You know, the leaves
Yeah,
change. I think it's the most beautiful thing ever.
it is. It really is.
That's what you don't have that in Los Angeles either, do you? It just gets wet for a day, and then it's dry the rest of the year.
Yeah, and sometimes the leaves fall, sometimes they don't. We like I said, it's mostly just one continuous season until like September. Then it gets really hot, and it lasts
Where
that way for 3 weeks.
where do you set your stories at?
Mostly in Southern California.
Really? Okay. Do you find it difficult? Because I mean, you're not actually from Southern California. Do you find it difficult to kind of capture that atmosphere and mentality of the Southern Californians, or are you writing from somebody who's transplanted there?
I have a really good feel here, and so I'm just basing it on my own experience from being here.
So just as a transplant, your characters are coming in from someplace else?
No, my characters are born here.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they're born here. Yeah, like the one in Awakened by Fate, she was actually born in the San Fernando Valley, and she's living in a city called West Hollywood, which
That's
is
very nice.
it's a trendy little community about 10 miles from where I live, and it's pretty popular.
Yeah, it's popular with the community, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But more the trans community though, right? Or am I wrong? Or just the gay community? I don't know
Oh
anything. I don't even know why I even bothered
no,
to open my mouth at all.
no, there's a trans community. Oh yes.
Is it still pretty active?
Oh yes.
Oh, that's cool, because I was
Oh
just
yes.
talking to my wife about where the where the trans people go is where you want to live. You want to live in cool culture, and we don't seem to have it anymore in New York. It seems to be gone
Hmm.
completely up here.
Oh no, it's very lively here.
Well, that's good. I mean, Los Angeles just seems very gentrified to me. Like
Oh,
impossible to live there.
it's really great. I just love it.
Can new people move to Los Angeles though? I mean, is it
Yes.
possible?
Yes. Anybody can move here.
Seems really, really prohibitive cost-wise.
Hmm.
I don't know. But then again, I live in New York and it's very expensive here too. And I can't imagine moving back here this age. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You do the adventure stuff when you're younger and you're willing to live in complete and utter squalor. So that's how you're used to
Hmm.
moving to a new city.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the school of Theta DNA, Theta,
Theta DNA.
is that a Scientology thing?
No. 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 It's it's a brand new modality that's gaining popularity. Well, actually, it's been gaining popularity for about 20 years now. And the woman who has made it popular is a woman named Abana Steibel. And she started up the School of Theta DNA, which is based on people's belief systems and changing them so that we don't have limiting beliefs standing in the way of what we want to have happen in our life. And it's all about changing how you feel about things, how you felt about things.
I've never heard of it before, but it does kind of fit with what you've been talking about this entire time.
Yes.
Kind of looking for the good in things and overcoming the bad and whatnot. Who's this black cat here?
Oh, which picture are you looking at?
It's in the grass.
That might be Maui.
Maui. How many cats do
Yeah,
you have?
a couple.
These
Yeah.
are really cool pictures. It does not look like California. This looks like Hawaii. I
Oh,
guess
I
that is
love Hawaii.
California. I
I
love
love
Hawaii.
Hawaii. Oh, where have you gone?
Just the Honolulu.
Oahu. Yeah, I
Yeah,
want to go
Oahu.
there
Yeah,
next. Yeah, we've been to Maui, Kauai, and the Big Island, and next is Oahu.
I'd love to go to the Big Island. I think that would be
Oh, it's
cool.
beautiful. Oh, it's
But
beautiful.
honestly, man, Oahu was beautiful. The water was, I've never had that experience in water. In Florida,
Oh.
as I mentioned, growing up there, all I thought about was sharks the entire time. The water's
Mhm.
kind of brackish and it's like you're swimming in pee. It's just warm, kind of greasy. It's really horrible.
Man.
And then in Hawaii, I touched that water, dove in, and I never thought about sharks one time.
Nope.
It's so beautiful. The water's crystal clear. I fell in love. I'd live there in a heartbeat. It's unfortunate that everything is outrageously expensive if you want to eat, right? I mean, food is so expensive.
But one thing that we had when we were there once was a fresh coconut, and they cut it open for us right there. You can't get there, that here in California.
No, I didn't have that. But I have been watching some sailing videos on YouTube, and they hit the French Polynesians, and they said that coconut milk down there, coconuts in general, are just outrageous. I just want to buy a boat and sail the world and devour coconuts.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I always finish off the podcast asking a few questions. They're easy. The first one is just basically, what are you consuming right now in your media, video games, movies, books that you would recommend people read?
Oh, I mean, what do I like to do?
Yeah, what are you actually consuming right now?
Okay, well, I have, when I'm not writing, is that what you mean?
Yeah, what are you just enjoying in general? What are you reading?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Would you recommend people read too?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And I just got finished with a book called Stargazing by another triplicity author, Kathy L. Salt. And I have my review up on Lynn Lawler's book blog if you care to read it.
Oh, cool. I was looking at that actually. That's why that name sounds familiar.
Yeah,
Stargazing.
yeah,
How often do you put out a post on your website?
every week.
Every week you put a new author up?
Either an author or it's actually an interview, book review, or things about myself, things that are going on.
Well,
That's
I mean, I really thoroughly enjoyed getting to know you over the course of our conversation.
Thank you.
I think you offer a lot to the literary community, and
Thank you.
I really hope that things go well with you and your next book and the book that you're currently writing. I
Hmm.
mean, obviously, you have the right attitude. Stay positive, get things
I will.
done. and it'll work out. I mean, where can people find you on the World Wide Web? Where do you want them to go?
Okay, I want them to go to www.lynnlawler.wordpress.com. That is my blog.
Perfect. Twitter, Facebook, anything like that?
Yes, I'm at Lynn Lawler1 on Twitter. I'm on Facebook, and I'm also at Lynn Lawler on Instagram. And feel free to check me out on Amazon Author Central.
Perfect. Excellent. Is there anything else that you want people to know before we sign off?
Well, I just wanted to thank you for inviting me today. This was really fun.
I'm honored with your presence. I really appreciate you being willing to join me.
Thank you.